hesitated. But now I feel I finally found my way. But without you here standing next to me, well, I would not feel like this was meant to be. And I'll be standing here when you're all gone. I'll be singing my next song. And I'll be standing here when you're all gone. But you're the reason I move on. 'Cause without you here standing by my side, well, a song that goes unheard's just a waste of time. A lifetime of waiting and wondering what the hell I'm waiting for. Wondering how I'm rating. But now I feel I found an open door. But without you here standing next to me, well, I would not feel like this was meant to be. And I'll be standing here when you're all gone. I'll be singing my next song. And I'll be standing here when you're all gone. But you're the reason I move on. 'Cause without you here standing by my side, well, a song that goes on song's just a waste of time. Without you here standing next to me, well, I would not feel like this was meant to be. And I'll be standing here when you're all gone. But you're the reason I move on.
Now joining us in studio, we have Michael Lee Hill from Eastlake, Ohio. Michael, thanks so much for taking time to be here. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you for having me.
Now I have to bring it up. In 2007, 23-song album you released, Music from Here to Andromeda. Where did the idea for the album come from?
Well, I became partners in a UFO documentary produced and directed by David Systrom, which is he's best known. He was the director of the UFOs Unplugged with Dan Aykroyd, which they used a few clips of UFOs that I'd filmed over Lake Erie, which that's a whole nother subject. But it ended up, me and David partnered on this film called From Here to Andromeda, and I did the soundtrack for it and released that soundtrack as a musical CD called Music from Here to Andromeda. So that's how it came about.
Now, I got a chance to listen to the CD. First of all, I got to tell you, it was absolutely awesome. I love it.
Well, thank you so much.
And one thing I noticed where there were a lot of different sound styles throughout the entire album. How important was it for you to be able to give listeners such a wide range of music in one collection?
That really wasn't even the intent. I just really believe that songs have their own soul. And if you, the song will speak to you as you're writing it. And if you pay attention, I don't know, you just have this vibe of where the song should be. And sometimes I'd use my normal guitar tone and it just wasn't it. So then I think, well, maybe next day I'll try it again. I'll use a Stratocaster or something, change something, And I just think that each song is it's like my own child, So they're all different and they're all unique in their own way. And just try to express that as honestly as possible.
Now, earlier when we were talking off air, you actually said that, some songs, they come to you right away. Some you have to plug away. What songs were some of the easier ones to put together? What was one or two that, took you a little while to finally find the right sound for it?
Oh, right on. Well, I'll tell you, as easy as it comes, there's a track called Transition, and it's a kind of a jazzy track, but I had got done with the first part of the solo in the song. I thought, okay, that's cool. And then I went to record the second solo section in the song, and there was already a solo, and I don't ever remember recording it. I'm like, I swear to God, I listened to it the first time and went, well, that's cool. I don't remember it, but I'm done. So that was really easy. But, as far as a longer birthing pain of a song, there's a track on the CD called The Lifting, and I had written the music for it, but it was actually the bass line that gave me a lot of trouble. It for years, I could just never, it just didn't come together. And then one time I was just like, song, you and me have had it. I'm going to enter the studio and I'm not leaving until I figure this out. And sure enough, I did figure out the bass line. It just ended up being a lot more simple than I thought. But when I came across the bass line, the whole song came together. But that whole song probably had about a 3-year period of coming into creation, But some of the ones that come very easily are, just as special to me. It's like, but yeah, I guess that answers the question.
All right. Well, you said that one song over a 3-year period. Obviously, this is a collection of multiple different albums that you've put together. So, how long did it take to compile everything?
Probably. When I started the project, I was still working on a few songs, and what I did was this documentary I became involved with is called From Here to Andromeda, and it's a 4-part miniseries, 1 hour apart, 1 hour per episode. So I had to come up with a lot of music. So I took everything that I really liked from my first 2 CDs, which I probably took 3 or 4 songs off of each CD. And at the time, I probably had enough material for a whole other CD. And I figured I was just going to mix all this in together and make it an anthology of pretty much the trip of, what I've been doing the last 10 years. And I'm really proud of it. I put a lot of work into it, making sure all the EQ levels were because we're really talking about a 10-year span of music. So to make sure all the levels were the same and the EQ, the bass and treble and the mixes were the same. So it sounded like a coherent collection of songs. I'd say the whole process took me about 5 months. And in that 5 months, I was still finishing up some of the newer songs I was working on. Yeah, it's all together now, and it's all good.
All right, stick around, because in a little bit we'll have more from Michael Lee Hill. But first, some music from the man himself, testing 1, 2, 3, off of the album Music From Here to Andromeda, right here on 107.5 FM, The Fox. Welcome back to North Coast Licks. In studio with me, Michael Lee Hill. We were talking about his 23-song album, Music From Here to Andromeda. And question that I had to get into here with you is you brought it up. It's in a documentary film. You had to put the music together for the film. How stoked were you to actually have it featured on a documentary?
By that time, I had so many just really crazy, surreal things happen that it's been a long, crazy ride. All I can say is those are the good things that happen. That's a good, it's surreal, and I'd rather have the good stuff than the bad, surreal stuff, So just ride it and try to enjoy it, and I'm honored and privileged that it's in it because I think it's one of the best UFO documentaries that's ever been produced. And matter of fact, it's being premiered at the Pythagoras Conference this October, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's a global, biggest conference of its kind on the subject matter, and so I'm really proud of it.
Now, who were some artists or musicians that influenced the music that went into this album?
Well, back in the day, just growing up, my first band I was really into was Kiss. They were like superheroes to me, Then Van Halen, and Eddie Van Halen still to this day to me is just the king. His playing just touches my soul. So I really became obsessed with Van Halen, and still am, really. But then, being a guitar player again, it got right into Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. A gentleman named Dan Reed of the Dan Reed Network was a huge influence to me. Steve was a really cool inspiration because I actually got to meet Steve Vai. A few years back, there was a guitar contest called the Steve Vai Ibanez Guitar Challenge. Stars lined up, and I ended up winning that contest. So meeting Steve, he gave me one of his guitars and signed the back of the headstock for me. So that's pretty surreal.
So what was it like actually getting a chance to work with Steve?
It was totally surreal. Steve actually did a cameo in From Here to Andromeda, and because of winning the Vi contest, I was offered a Joe Satriani amplifier endorsement deal. So it ended up where Peavy, who had manufactured this amplifier for Joe Satriani, they sent me to California it's called the NAMM show, which is the trade show for musical instruments, to go there and play. And so when we were there and met Joe Satriani, it turned out that he was a big fan of my partner, David Systrom's earlier works. So before I knew it, Joe ended up being in our movie, and I was standing there holding the shotgun mic going, pinching my arm going, this must be a weird dream, man.
Now, where did you draw inspiration for this album from?
Really, that's a really deep question, because on every back of every CD I put, this music is an attempt to communicate ideas, feelings, and emotions regarding our own personal realities that will never be expressed through words. So that's my intent, to express certain truths. You find out music is way more powerful than any of us probably ever thought, and frequency creates geometry, and this is being proven now. A lot of scientists know that you can take a big plate that has sand on it and put a frequency through it, like say just an A note, and geometry will form into that sand by nothing but the frequency that's being pumped through it. So, truly, I believe that music is almost like making crop circles out of air pressure and like just soaking an audience in it, I guess no one's ever told us, though, like what chord on a guitar makes a pyramid, you know. This is intuitive things. I think you just tune into what you're creating, what effect it has. And I want music, I don't know, music that I really loved growing up. It took me somewhere by listening to it. And, some albums, like I remember Fair Warning by Van Halen, I would just listen to it and it would just take me on a mental journey, or Abbey Road by the Beatles, just beginning to end. And when you got done with it, it's almost like you went to church,
Yeah.
So I know it's a big, that's a big accomplishment to try to even do that. But, I try to do that as well as try to tell a story.
Well, that's pretty cool. And one thing that I've always wondered, I mean, I'm not necessarily musically inclined. When you're in the music writing process, do you just hear the music come through, or do you just, is it something that you feel? I mean, how do you put that into music?
Well, I'll tell you my own process. I will just lock myself in the room and I just play. And just while I'm playing, just for the fun of it, sometimes I'll stumble across something and the fur on the back of my neck will go up. I'll go, oh, that's cool. And I'll explore that little lesson I just learned or stumbled across. And then when I get to the point where I know I got a cool little piece of music there, I just catalog it in my brain, and go along. And the next little piece, that I stumble across, that the fur on the back of my neck goes up, I put that in the back of my brain. And then when I got about 10 of those parts, I would start building up drum tracks because I used digital audio samples of a real drummer, Steve Gadd, which is a famous drummer, as the drum tracks, and built them up. So it was almost like I would build up drum tracks just knowing song structure, but not even thinking of any of my songs. Yeah. And then I would take these musical ideas and see if any of them fit over these drum grooves that I would build up. And I would say 7 out of 10 times it wouldn't. So then I would just sit back and just listen to the drum groove and try to be inspired and jam over that and create something to it. Sometimes it fit like a glove, Yeah. And so I just look for that first initial spark of just knowing there's some kind of musical intelligence that's being communicated through a little wedge of music,
Now, before you released the CD Music From Here to Andromeda, you actually developed your own indie label. Talk a little bit about the process of making your own label.
What happened was after I won the Steve Vai Ibanez Guitar Challenge, Steve's publicist and personal assistant at the time, his name was Richard Pike. He really liked my music and offered to help me out greatly. I couldn't even believe it. He created a press kit for me. Walked me through the whole process. He's like, dude, you gotta come up with a record label so when you send this out, it's not just from your house, Yeah. So he walked me through the process. Really, he said, go get a PO box. You need a logo. So I went online, found this place where you could design a logo, and I made about 10 logos, and I was all proud of myself. And I sent them to him. I get his email back. He's like, dude, these all suck.
Hey, at least he was honest, all right?
He's very honest. He helped me out so much in that regard. He sent me a zip file, and he goes, tell me if any of these pictures do anything for you. And I opened it up. Lo and behold, there's 10 crop circles. Pictures of crop circles. So I picked the one out that I really liked, and then he took that and put it into Photoshop and created a whole logo out of that. He sucked the image right out of the crop circle and made a logo out of it.
That's pretty cool.
So that's how the record label thing happened, because Steve's publicist helped me out, and he just, he's become a dear friend and helped me out more than he should have probably.
All right. Well, real quick before I let you go, if people want to find your music, if they want to contact you, where can they do that?
Well, I'm on Facebook. Just type in Michael Lee Hill. On YouTube, if you want to look into any of my videos of UFOs I have filmed over Lake Erie, you can find them on a YouTube channel called Frozen Hill. That's me. And around town, I am forming my own band now. It's going to be called MLH and the Chaos Lads. So we're practicing right now and going to be busting that out on the scene. So look for us at your favorite club. I think that about does it.
Are there any shows coming up that anybody should be aware of?
Yeah. Well, I am doing a mini set of my own music at the Pythagoras Conference. So if you're interested in such things, it's a really huge conference. That's a 5-day event, and many truths revealing humanity's hidden past is going to be revealed. And I'm doing a set of music, and also, as I said, From Here to Andromeda, my UFO documentary is going to be shown there as well. So that's one event. Right now, there's no shows as far as my own personal band because this is a brand new project. I'm really stoked about it. I got Justin Butcher on bass, which he plays bass for Alan Green, which I guess he's on coming up, or I don't know how
we'll have a little bit from him later in the program.
Right on. Alan's such a great guy, and I feel fortunate now that he's become a friend, and I've learned a lot from him. So I'm really looking forward to his segment. I got Heston Biazik on guitar, and Johnny Stiebel, which he owns Stiebel Drums there in Eastlake, and all the drummers know who he is. He's like just the greatest dude on the planet. So I'm really excited to have this group of guys around me, and they're just great dudes, no egos, and they're all really into the music, and I'm looking forward to having some fun.
All right, what's the name of the band again that everybody should be looking out for?
MLH and the Chaos Lads. MLH, that's me, Michael Lee Hill. Just abbreviating it. I can't see Michael Lee Hill and the Chaos Lads on a billboard.
Yeah, a little long maybe.
Yeah, it might be a little too long. So MLH.
All right, well, definitely look out for MLH and the Chaos Lads. Michael Lee Hill in studio with me. Thanks so much for taking time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor.
Oh, the privilege was all mine. Thanks so much for taking time. Stick around because up next we'll have another North Coast classic. This one from Michael Lee Hill off the album Music from Here to Andromeda. The song is called The Individual, and it's right here on 107.5 FM The Fox.